That does not mean that the climate has changed. What exactly is climate change? Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Priva Kaede and I am an environmentalist and also a climate action advocate. Today I'm going to be talking to you on the topic climate change, and the question I'm going to be answering is, what exactly is climate change? I think it is important for us to have this discourse, primarily because we hear so much about climate change, that the world is melting, this this you hear so many details and it sounds gory, it sounds life-threatening. Of course it is in some sense, but it is very important that we have structured, informed and well-layered knowledge on what exactly climate change is and how we are supposed to handle it, deal with it, respond to it, and also manage its effects in our society today. So stay and walk with me as we go through exactly what climate change is. Every time we discuss what exactly climate change is, we have to differentiate between what weather is and what climate change is. And this is important primarily because it is easy to confuse both. So to say, when we want to say, what is the weather today? It's sunny. Sun has just been shining since. That does not mean that the climate has changed, but of course it is weather that compounds to show us what climate is. So think of it this way, that your weather is your outfit. Your weather is an outfit, is your outfit, what you're wearing today, but climate change is like your full wardrobe. So it is several outfits that come together to make a wardrobe, right? So when we say weather is basically when you go out, how does it look today? Is it rainy? Is it sunny? Is it windy? That is what weather is. Just how it looks today, how the atmosphere feels today. That is basically the weather. That is why we have weather forecasts, right? So today, yesterday, tomorrow, last week, that is weather. But when we talk about climate change, it refers to the condition of the atmosphere over a long period of time. And the World Meteorology Society says that this period should be ideally up to 30 years. So when we talk about climate change, we're not talking about 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, but we're talking about 30 years, how the atmospheric condition over the span of 30 years has changed. And naturally, ideally, climate is supposed to change. Now, when you think of this, you say, so why are we threatened? Why are we bothered, right? Because in a natural sense, climate is supposed to change. So think of it this way. I like to use this analogy to describe it, why it is now a very important discourse, primarily because when you think of the earth revolves, right? The earth revolves, the earth rotates, but you don't feel it. Like, I'm here now in Lagos, Nigeria, I'm not feeling that the earth is revolving, the earth is rotating. I can't feel it. Like, it's not like as the earth is moving, I'm shaking, right? So, but think of it in a situation where as the earth revolves or rotates, I'm moving also, or I'm feeling it, or my house is moving, or you understand, that is where it becomes abnormal. It's the same for climate change, that in the natural sense of things, when climate is supposed to change, it's supposed to be so gradual, almost unnoticeable, that nobody notices it, that it is like so slow, taking thousands upon thousands of years for it to change. But if in the sense of every 30 years, the weather pattern for the last 30 years and for these 30 years, we can outrightly tell so much difference. The rain patterns, heat waves, sea level rise, they are so different. It begs the question, that is where it becomes very, very drastic, and humans, everybody, we have to adjust and all of that. So that is why we have to do something about how our climate is changing, and that is a very important sign to show that the climate change we're experiencing today is not natural. It is not natural. Now, let's go to the topic of how is it that our climate is changing, not by natural sense, by human efforts, and this is dangerous. Now, when you think of the earth in itself, it has kind of like a layer, like layers of atmosphere that is covering it, and when the heat from the sun comes into the comes into the earth, it traps the air. That layer of gas over the earth traps the heat in the earth, so we can remain warm in here, and it is a favorable condition for humans, right? But because of our industrial activities, burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, which basically means cutting down of trees without replacing them, and several activities that we are engaging in as humans, we are releasing so much carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, right? And this is making it making the earth's temperature increase, because we are making the earth warmer than it should actually. It is our cutting down of trees, burning of fossil fuels primarily, that contributes to releasing CO2 and methane into the atmosphere, right? Basically, and this adds another extra layer of these gases into the atmosphere, and then it somewhat traps heat into the earth, and the temperature of the earth increases. So let me give an analogy, in the sense that, for instance, you park a car outside, and then you close up the glass, you close up the glasses, and sun is shining. The sun can penetrate through the window to go in, but the heat now can't find its way to come out back, right, until maybe you open the door or you wind down or something, right? So that's basically how this methane and carbon dioxide acts. They are known as greenhouse gases. So they serve as some sort of layer to keep the earth warm, and they are natural. But because of our actions like burning fossil fuels and deforestation, they now release more of these gases into the atmosphere, and then it keeps the earth warmer than it should be, increasing the temperature of the earth. Now, the temperature of the earth is increased and keeps increasing because we keep releasing more of these gases into the atmosphere. It creates a very huge imbalance, and everything somehow can't seem to work in its natural sense. For instance, now the earth is hotter, so that means that the deserts are going to be drier than they should be. The places where there is ice, the ice glaciers, all of them are going to melt, and then of course water will always find the lowest point, and the lowest point is usually the closest by water, the oceans and whatever, and that means that the water is going to the sea level is going to rise, the level of the water is going to rise, and that water is going to come forward into cities, coastal communities, and basically, you understand. So of course this is basic, and of course there's going to be heat waves because everywhere is hot and it's going to be hotter, right? So this is basically the science and art of climate change. I hope that you understand it a bit. Is clear to you now what climate change is. I explained that climate change and weather are different. I explained how is it that climate change is natural, and how do we have a, in quotes, synthetic climate change happening today, and how its effects are drastic. I also explained what greenhouse gases are. I give examples of greenhouse gases. I explained what deforestation is. Of course, I did not say, oh, this is what deforestation, this is not. No, but I explained it as I was explaining and narrating what exactly climate change is. I also gave you analogies for you to work with, and I hope that this opens your mind to understand exactly how if we continue releasing these gases into the atmosphere, and somehow we don't tell ourselves that, okay, we've had enough, let's care for our planet, the effects in the coming years are going to be graver, say in the sense of ultraviolet rays, say in the sense of more diseases, more health issues, health crises. People who make their money off certain professions are not going to be able to perform their duties, which means economic loss. People who live in certain areas are going to be forced to move away, making them either refugees or displaced persons. And of course, several people are going to just lose the stability of their lives, and that in itself is troubling, right? Yes. So in the next one, I'm going to explain what you can and I can do about climate change. I hope to see you then. I'll be there.